Hey guys, I had a lot of people asking me about the MacGregor. A lot of you, I guess, are non-sailors and necessarily don't know a lot about boats. And so I thought that I would share the MacGregor promotional video with you and just kind of point out good things, true things, and things that are less than true. You know, hey, they're salesmen, or they were salesmen. So this is going to be a rather long video, okay? But if you're interested in boating, learning to sail, and whatnot, you might find this useful. And there are worse boats to have than the MacGregor. So what I'm going to do is pull up the video here, and we'll get it going.
For the next 5 minutes, we'll show you scenes from the 53-minute video for the MacGregor 26. The video shows just about...
Now I'm going to tell you that there are three versions of the MacGregor 26. There is an S as in Sierra model, which is predominantly a sailboat. However, it's a very lightly built trailerable sailboat. Then you have the 26X, which is what I have, and that is what this video covers. And then you have the 26M, which is the later version of this boat that had some modifications and changes made that make it a better sailing boat. And that's it.
About everything there is to know about this remarkable boat. I hope that you like what you see. The boat's one of the fastest, safest, and best handling of any of the tradable cruising sailboats. It's a very easy boat to learn to sail. You can learn to get from here to there reasonably well in a single afternoon.
Okay, he said it is the fastest sailboat of its kind, or the fastest of its kind. Just so you know, when you're talking about sailboats and sailing, fast is a relative term. Okay, most sailboats will run on the water 5 to 8 miles per hour or thereabouts, and that's a typical sailboat. Now there are sailboats that are faster, and this boat under power will run up to just over 20 mile an hour as a power boat. So just a FYI.
The 26 is also a very capable powerboat with speeds up to 24 miles per hour with a 50 horsepower outboard engine. Here's the boat with a reefed mainsail, sailing into a strong 20 mile per hour wind. Try this with any other sailboat. It's not the fastest ski boat in the world, and you'll never pull a crowd, but you can have a lot of fun. Unlike most of the waterbound sailboats that are limited to their local waters, these boats can easily be trailered behind most standard cars to any lake, river, or ocean. The mast is light, and you can just put it up there like this.
All right, I'm going to have a comment about this. The mast is light, yes, but maybe if you're a young, strong guy, you can throw it up there just like that. And I will tell you, it's not quite that easy. However, they do have a mast raising system, and I have that system, and it's not that difficult to raise the mast.
Or you can use the mast raising system. It's so easy that even a youngster can do it. Rigging and launching takes about 10 minutes. Look how low the boat sits on the trailer, lower than any competitor. It can be floated off the trailer without drowning your car. After launching, a valve is opened and 1,500 pounds of water fills the ballast tank. This added weight provides the self-righting stability and the performance of a conventional keel. Coming back, the boat's driven onto its trailer. This is as simple as it looks.
Actually, it's not as simple as it looks, okay? What you're not seeing here is the effects of wind and current on the boat. They specifically did this, I'm sure, on a nice calm day with a very experienced captain at the helm, and you know, it's a little more difficult than they make it look like here, but it's not that difficult. Okay, it's really not something that you can't pick up after a few tries. Now, it's very important. I want to point something out. The factory original MacGregor trailers, if you look at the picture there, have what we call goalposts or guideposts on the trailer. The trailer I have is not a factory trailer. it is a more heavy-duty trailer than the factory trailer, and I like that because I'm going to be traveling long distances. So I don't have this ladder up front for getting on and off the boat, and I don't have these, but it's not a big deal. I do have a much larger set of goal posts. They stand up to about right here, and getting on and off the trailer is not difficult for me at all.
After the boat comes out of the water.
Okay, so this is funny. That is a Ford Taurus. Ford Tauruses are notorious for transmission problems without towing a boat. You know, this is just marketing, I'm sure. While I'm certain that the car will pull the boat, it would not be an optimum tow vehicle by any stretch of the imagination.
The valve is open and gravity drains the 1,500 pounds of ballast. This keeps the boat light for easy trailering. The boat draws only 9 inches of water, and you can run it right up on the beach. This is the cruising spinnaker. It's colorful and fun to fly. When sailing downwind or across the wind, it adds a lot of speed. The weathertight cabin provides 3 large double berths. The rear berth.
Okay, so this is the same layout that my boat has. On the 26X, it never really changed. You have the galley here, a settee here, a V berth up there, the dinette, which converts to a berth, and then right down here under the cockpit, there is a big queen size berth, which I'll show you in a minute. Now, they have these gray ceramic tiles, and there's a sink there, and this black door off to the right leads to the head, the bathroom. But these gray tiles on my boat are just falling apart. So I think what I'm going to do on my boat is I'm going to have a cutting board made that fills that gap, that area there. I think that would be a better solution for me than those tiles, and more useful for me than those tiles.
Berth is larger than a king-size bed. You have to spend a lot more money to find these accommodations in a powerboat.
Okay, so one other thing I do like about MacGregor's, and I guess it's just me being silly, but there's a piece of plexiglass on the table and a little area that is inset where you can put maps, and then you put the plexiglass over it, and then you can write on it with grease pencils and whatnot. There's the door to the head, and this is that giant queen-size V berth, or aft berth, that I was talking about a minute ago. I didn't say afterbirth, I said aft berth.
There's a fully enclosed head, a full galley, and a 48-quart removable ice chest.
Okay, the ice chest he's talking about occupies underneath this settee right here.
This is the king-sized rear berth. The dinette.
Okay, this is the dinette made into a bunk.
It converts to a third double berth. The boat will sleep 6 comfortably. This is a big crowd, but it is possible. The optional sunshade can be left in place for powering and sailing.
Okay, so currently I have my boat set up as a power boat. I'm not using the mast and the sailing rig at all. This Bimini that they have here is a 5-foot Bimini. That's the factory Bimini, calls for a 5-foot Bimini. I have a 5-footer that I will use when I'm sailing, and what I've done is I put track here so that I can slide this Bimini backwards and forwards. And I have 2 Biminis, one for when I'm sailing, which is a smaller one like this, okay, which only, by the way, from here to the top of the Bimini is only 36 inches, 3 feet. All right. I also have one that is 8 foot long that I use when I'm using it as a power boat, and I'll try and get you guys some pictures of that at some point, or you'll see it when I get some video of the boat in action and its current guise. But it occupies or covers the cockpit basically all the way to this bulkhead right here.
Even with the water tank empty, it's far more stable than most boats of its size. We pulled the boat over with the tank full. It takes 120 pounds on the mast to hold it down like this. When the mast is released, the boat rights itself. The solid foam flotation keeps the boat afloat when flooded. It won't sail fast this way, but it beats swimming. Here we see a very fast cabin cruiser.
Okay, currently this is the way I am using the boat. Just like that, except that I have the big Bimini right here and covering the entire cockpit. But that's what it looks like without the mast and everything aboard.
Without the 1,500 pounds of water ballast, this thing really goes under power. When it blows hard, you need less sail. Here it's sailing with just the mainsail. This is the furling system for either the jib or the Genoa. You can make a perfect match between the amount of sail that you have up and the strength of the wind. Notice that the sail shape is really good no matter how much sail you have rolled out.
All right, all you sailors that are looking at this right now are saying, what? The sail shape is adequate. It's decent. I wouldn't call it exceptional. And I don't think I've ever seen a MacGregor with an exceptionally well-trimmed sail. Generally, they are good to okay, and that's it. And sail shape matters. I don't know how... You guys need to Google Bernoulli's principle so that you understand how a sailboat, what makes a sailboat actually go. Basically, the sails are a wing, and then you have an underbody wing, which is in the water, called a keel or a daggerboard or a swing keel or whatever each boat has. And these generate forces that create lift, and that's what makes a sailboat go.
Watch how closely the boat sails into the wind and how easily it tacks.
Yeah, watch how they do this with no engine on the boat. That boat has 0 motors on it. It makes it really light, which makes for a good video of it sailing, because it's going to perform better with no engine on it, because it's going to have about 800 pounds taken off the back of the boat.
Introduction. We'll finish this introduction with a few pleasant scenes that give you an idea of what the MacGregor 26 is all about. Because of the water ballast system, which we developed and which is now the standard throughout the industry, the trailering weight can be kept low, allowing the 26 to be trailered by standard cars. The empty boat weighs only 2,250 pounds. The trailer weighs 710 pounds. The boat's width is just under 8 feet, and it can be legally trailered throughout the United States without permits. Permits are frequently required for widths over 8 feet and always required for loads over 8 foot 6 inches. Here we're headed out across the Mojave Desert. You won't need a tow vehicle this large, but if you have one, you won't even know the boat's back there. Notice how the mast is carried for trailering. Watch how easy this is. If it's easy, you'll use the boat a lot. If it's hard, you won't. The light weight makes launching very simple. It's no more difficult to launch this boat than most small power boats. Notice the car's rear wheels are not in the water. Every inch higher a boat sits on the trailer means that the car has to go 1 foot further down the ramp.
Again, my boat is not on a stock trailer, so it does set much higher. And he is correct about getting tow vehicles into the water. It's not a good thing, especially with salt water. But, you know, it is what it is when you boat.
The ladder on the nose of the trailer lets the crew get on the boat without a lot of effort. The bow tie down is released, and the skipper starts the motor and backs the boat off the trailer. The boat's quite happy with all of this.
Again, with practice, it might be this easy, but trust me, it takes a little bit of practice.
The boat's light and can easily be pulled up the ramp and out of the water.
And I'm going to notice that there is no water coming out of the back of this boat, which means the water ballast tank is already empty. Okay, if that ballast tank was full, he would have to pull out a little bit and then wait for the tank to drain, pull out a little bit, wait for the tank to drain, etc., so forth.
On the other hand, if a boat's too heavy, you'll get a lot of this.
Okay, all you guys that like to boat, what is the funniest thing you've seen at the ramp? I have seen some hilarity in action at the ramps. That little tire spinning episode is nothing compared to some of the stuff I've seen.
The water ballast system is the key to the 26's lightweight and versatility. The 1,500 pounds of water ballast provides the self-righting stability of a keel, but it can be drained out to radically lighten the boat for trailering or high-speed powering. The ballast, nearly half the weight of the boat, substitutes for fixed lead or cast iron keels found in most boats.
Okay, the water ballast is for a trailerable boat is a great idea. However, what he's not telling you is that it moves the center of gravity further up into this area, whereas if you had a keel, the center of gravity is much lower. That creates a boat that is what we call tender, which means it heels over, it leans more than the average boat under a keel boat would under the same conditions. Just something to be aware of. It's not a big thing. It's just something to know about.
This is the water ballast valve. When you launch the boat, the valve is opened and the tank fills. Gravity does the work. There's a vent under the step that allows air to be released as the tank fills. There's a second valve shown here that speeds up the filling process. It takes about 6 minutes. The tank is full and the boat's ready to sail when you can touch the water in the vent hole. Then you go sailing. When you retrieve the boat on the trailer, you drain the tank. Again, gravity does the work. The water tank can be emptied in the water when the boat's going over 8 miles per hour. Open the valves, and the forward speed sucks the tank dry. This is a typical launch ramp. Watch how little effort's expended getting the boat off the trailer. Everyone stays dry, and the car stays out of the water. The centerboard retracts completely into the boat, where it can't be damaged when the boat comes on or off the trailer. The kick-up rudders can also be retracted completely out of the water. Here again we see how the boat can be beached. With most other sailboats, you'd now be stuck in the mud in chest-deep water. Here's a competitor whose centerboard does not retract completely, and therefore subject to damage. The MacGregor's waterline is only 27 inches above the ground. No other sailboat is lower.
These are Catalina 22s. 36.5 inches. This is 125. 56 inches. These are Catalina 25s with the retracting keels. 47 inches. This is 123. That's 33 inches to the scribed water line and to the little scum line where it's been sitting in the water.
126 measures 36 inches. Here's 123. Look how far into the water the car had to go. This poor soul cranked ferociously for an eternity. He'll be getting tired. Extension tongues are frequently used, as for this Catalina 22. Ramps are designed for normal length trailers, and one of these long ones goes off the paved part. Major outside help is often needed. Or you can always just wade in there. If you listen really carefully, you can hear the dishes breaking.
That's what happens when you don't have goalposts to get you centered on the trailer.
Notice how the boat stays aligned on the trailer because of the vertical goalposts at the rear of the trailer. Some trailers don't have these. Without these posts, things can get a little screwed up. See the wide V at the nose of the trailer? It's a big target and easy to hit. It's padded and you can plow into it pretty hard. Without the ears, it's pretty easy to slide right past and maybe punch out your car. With the 26, you simply drive on and go forward and tie off the nose. The ladder keeps our hero out of the water. Without the ladder, which gives you somewhere to stand, securing the boat can be fun for the spectators. When you pull the boat out, our engine clears the ground in the down position. If the designer had given this rig another inch or so, this skipper's life would have been improved immensely. To raise the mast, first disconnect it from the bow pulpit and roll the mast base to the rear. And slide in the hinge pin. The mast is light and you can just put it up there. It takes a bit of oomph, but it's not too tough. The fore stays connected, and the turnbuckle provides the final tensioning of the rig. For trailering, the only mast support wire that has to be disconnected is this one, the forestay. Using the mast raising system, it's really easy. A kid can do this. The 26 has a backstay, a wire running from the top of the mast to the rear of the boat. This is a critical support when running downwind in heavy air. We're on this side, and the good sailing's over there on the other side. A common problem. Here's the solution. Even with the boat underway, the mast can be lowered and raised with or without the mast raising system. He'll pull the mast up without using the winch. You can also keep the boat in one of the low-cost mast-up storage yards that are near most launch ramps. This is a typical one. Entering the cabin, the galley's on the left, and the fully enclosed head is behind the door on the right. Unlike most of its competitors, this boat has full standing headroom. The dinette is forward of the head, and there's a seat for two opposite the dinette table. The cushions and carpet can be removed. The rest is polished fiberglass, and you can squirt down the interior with a hose without risk of hurting anything. Many small boats have fabric permanently bonded to the insides of the hulls and decks. These present serious mildew problems. Make sure it's removable. This is the front double berth. Note also that there's no interior woodwork. Woodwork means work for you. The rear berth is a full 7'3" by 6'6", a full king-size bed. This is rare in any boat. There's full sitting headroom over a large area of this berth. It's full standing headroom if you're 36 inches tall. The forward view from the cabin can be quite rewarding. It's nice to be able to see out. With most boats, you're stuck with small side windows and usually no forward window. The dinette is set up high so you can see out when seated. This is the electrical panel. Here's a scan of the galley with its tile countertop and optional alcohol stove. This is where we put the VHF ship-to-shore radio. It can be used while seated in the cockpit.
Okay, that gives you a really good view of the galley. I don't have this stove. I'm actually going to use a propane stove instead of an alcohol stove. Alcohol does not produce as much heat to warm and cook things as propane or butane does. There's those tiles that I was talking about. If anybody does woodwork and wants to make me a cutting board, I'll send you the pattern. Storage here, storage here. That's about it.
There are lots of convenient places to store stuff, big and small. Here's a big storage compartment under the sink. And this is the battery compartment. We also use it for storing extra line and small items. The galley has a sink and pump for fresh water. The boat's water system holds 10 gallons. Here we look under the cushions and the hatch covers. There's a big storage compartment under each one.
The dinette seats 5. 5 kids, maybe. You will squeeze 4 adults in there. Really, 1 adult per side is all I would want to see there, because it's a little tighter than it looks in this picture.
Notice the mast support post. On many boats, this comes up in the center of one of the double berths. This, of course, is not good. This is the head, the fully enclosed head. Most other small sail and power boats have a head tucked under a bunk. A slight amount of imagination will bring vivid pictures of how awful these things are to use when others are on the boat, particularly when they're sleeping. It's essential to have 4 walls and a good solid door. The cockpit's self-bailing. The seats are comfortable and big enough for sleeping outside or for sunbathing. Wheel steering is standard. It's a far more natural way to steer than a tiller and takes up a lot less room in the cockpit. The captain's seat hinges out of the way for access to the motor and for boarding. This is way better than climbing over the edge of the boat. This shows the cockpit cushions. The captain's seat is now closed for safety and for providing the captain with a place to sit and steer. The open transom is neat for getting on the boat when it's on the trailer. This cable secures the seat in the open position. This shows the anchor locker and foredeck hatch, both closed. Here they are open. The hatch gives great ventilation. This shows the strong bow eye, the cleat, and the bow rail. And this is the hinged mast step. These are the tracks and blocks for the standard jib. And these are for the Genoa. This is all first-class hardware. We don't use turnbuckles here because, for traderable boats, we think that they're dangerous. Mast wires occasionally get tangled up on the trailer fenders and deck hardware when the mast's going up and down, and a load from the wrong direction can bend turnbuckles. Several bends and restraightings can cause failure. The adjusters that we use are stronger and safer. The hole spacing allows adjustments as fine as 1/16 of an inch. The sail handling winches are on the cabin top. Lines lead through cam cleats to the cockpit. The centerboard control line on your left also leads back to the cockpit. This is the main sheet, the line that controls the angle of the mainsail. Mounted on top of the steering pedestal, it can be reached from anywhere in the cockpit. There are strong lifelines and a bow rail to help you stay on the boat. The cockpit lockers will hold 2 standard 9-gallon fuel tanks. This is the boom vang, which keeps the boom from rising as the sail fills. It's not essential, but it makes a much better sail shape and a lot more speed. The rudders can be raised and lowered from the cockpit. If you hit something while sailing, they, like the centerboard, will kick up out of the way. This is the optional sunshade. There's lots of headroom, and the boat can be sailed and powered with it in this position. Here it is stowed with its cover secured. It takes only a few seconds to raise or lower it. The optional boarding ladder and swim ladder is really useful, both in the water and on the trailer. And now for some sailing.
All right, so this is like a late evening sail. See the full moon there in the background, and right now all the women are going, oh. You know, now I will say, being out on the water under a full moon late at night is an experience unlike anything else. Sailing under those conditions is like being on another planet. I mean, there's just no words to describe how the water just glows. I mean, it is phenomenal. And if you've never done it, I highly recommend it.
Watch how easily the boat tacks. That bird coming head-on is a pelican. We nearly collided with some of his pals. Here's the big race in very light air. The outcome was never in doubt, since the MacGregor 65 is the fastest production sailboat ever built. Here's an extreme example of blanketing, where one boat, the 65, steals the other boat's wind. Two boats going in the same direction always results in a race, and sailboat racing is fun.
Fun and stressful.
Watch how close the boat sails into the wind. Also notice how easily it tacks.
Also notice they have no engine on the back there. Again, they're cheating a little bit by shaving 700 pounds off the boat. But do notice that the wind is not blowing that hard. Look how much heel is induced on that boat, how much lean to the port or the left side of the boat there is.
This is Lake Mead, the big desert lake behind Hoover Dam. The wind is about 10 miles an hour, the weather's warm, and life can't get much better. The forward sail is the optional Genoa. It's big and provides a lot of power. You can learn to sail in a single afternoon. Read a primer on sailing. Choose a nice day with a light breeze when you don't have to get anywhere in particular. Turn on the engine and power around. It's not much different than driving a car. Then put up the mainsail and let the wind provide some power. The engine will get you out of any tight spots. After you see how it all works, try the jib. It's one of the easiest boats to sail that you'll ever find. More people have learned to sail in our boats than in any other. A fresh 12-knot breeze. The rig's quite a boat that's fast and that handles well, like this one, is easy to sail and safer. It'll certainly yield greater long-term enjoyment than a slow, unresponsive turkey. There's almost no wind, but look at the wake. The boat's still moving. Since we're sailing so close to a rocky shore, I left the engine running at idle to get us out of any trouble, like having the wind quit. Having the engine available is a big safety factor. If you somehow screw up your sailing, it has lots of power to overcome whatever weird thing that the sails are trying to get you to do. Here are two 26s racing, one with a jib, the other with a Genoa. Winds are about 8 to 10 miles an hour. You can see that the Genoa gives a decided speed advantage.
Okay, so it's going to be hard to see in this picture here, but the jib is the smaller foresail. The Genoa is the larger one. It comes back to right here. So you're increasing your sail area, which increases your ability to catch the wind, and that makes you faster, or in some instances faster. In other instances, you're like, oh crap, there's too much sail. But if you match the sail to the conditions, it makes for a much more enjoyable sail.
When you get to the dock, release the line, the sail centers itself, and the boat stops. Lift the captain's seat and get off the boat without having to leap over the rail. The boat's booming along with a reefed mainsail and the standard jib. It's blowing really hard. Look at how fast and steady it's sailing. The game is to keep the sail area down to the point where the boat's not leaning over too far. With reduced area, it'll be faster and easier to sail.
All right, I'm going to wrap that up. This is getting longer than it should be. You get the general idea. I'll give you a link to this full video if you want to go and watch it. In the description, you'll find a link to the video. Now, if you are interested in buying one of these boats, they are on the used market. The 26, I don't recommend the 26S as in Sierra or any of the older MacGregors. As trailerable boats go, there are better options, I think. The 26X as in X-ray, which is what I have. I selected it for a reason. You remember where the location of the bathroom was, where the head is, just inside the doorway? I prefer that layout to the newer M as in Mary model, which has the head up front by the V-berth. But these are personal preferences. What do they cost? You can find the 26X as an X-ray on the used market for anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000, right in that range. That is, you know, the price is always negotiable. Remember that, okay? I didn't pay anything near $8,000 for the 26X I have, but the engine wasn't running. Mine is a carbureted engine, and the carburetors needed rebuilt. I can do that myself. However, I went ahead and farmed it out to a boat mechanic that I know. So keep this stuff in mind. I have a 50 horsepower Yamaha outboard, and those things are bulletproof. Especially if you get one of the later ones that are fuel injected. Man, those things are top of the line. So there are a lot of things. Go look at the boat. Have somebody that knows a little bit about boats look at the boat. And if you're in the Houston area and you're shopping for one of these, let me know. I'll be happy to come take a look at it for you. I probably know more about MacGregors than I want to know. That's it, guys. I hope this was answered a lot of questions, because people have been asking me and asking me and asking me. So I hope there's answers to your questions in this video. And I'll be putting out some videos of me on the power boat, on the boat under power, because I'm using it as a power boat right now, here in the very, very near future. So you guys be safe, and I will see you again soon.